let's go ahead and get into it. If you have any math questions, questions regarding my class or anything of that nature, feel free to send it to me directly or to everyone to see in case they have the same answer or question. But let's go ahead and finish off, guys. We're finishing off 10.3 today, right now, from last week's class. So vertical lines, guys. So what I want you to write here is write the title vertical lines. And then the graph of x equals c, where c is a real number, is a vertical line with x-intercept c comma 0, and draw this sketch over here on the side into your notes as well. It kind of shows you how every vertical line will look like. And x equals c, c is a constant where it could be any number. And then we already talked about horizontal lines in the past, but this is just another way to write it again so you can see it again and utilize it. I'm gonna go ahead and give you guys about 3 minutes on this slide before we move on. All right, guys, that was 3 minutes. Would anyone need additional time to copy these two definitions or concepts? All right, let's go ahead and move on. Example. So we're gonna go ahead and graph the lines. So A is x equals -3 and B says y plus 2 equals 0. We're gonna start with A first, give you about a minute, a few seconds to set it up. So make your x and y axis. So we know x equals -3. From seeing x equals a number, we should see that it's gonna be a vertical line. So then we go to x equals -3. So you go from 0, -1, -2, -3. Put the x-intercept first. Get your ruler and draw your vertical line. And we're done with A. B, we have y plus 2 equals 0. Get y by itself, so we subtract 2. So then we get y equals -2. So when we get y equals a number, we know that's going to be a horizontal line. So we go to -2y, which is below 0 underneath, and it's going to be a horizontal line. All right. Anyone need more time to copy these examples down?
Yes, just a second.
You let me know when you're good to go. No worries.
Okay, I'm ready.
Thank you. All right, last slide, guys. Here are some practice problems. Try them out on your own. I'll give you 2 minutes on this one. Or 3 since you're drawing the graph. Good luck. All right, guys. For AX equals 4, anyone want to tell me what kind of line they drew and where they drew it at? The equation for A is X equals 4. All right, guys, last call. Anyone want to volunteer and tell me what they got for x equals 4 before I call on a random student?
It's a vertical line.
At which x value?
On the right side, right on the X value, yes.
Which x value?
On the right, the positive.
But which x? Do I just put it anywhere?
Um, on the X axis, I guess. Is that what it's called?
Yes, it's gonna be on the x-axis, but where on the x-axis is the next question.
On number four.
There we go. Thank you. Yeah, that is correct.
Okay.
All right. Good, good, good. Thank you so much. Now, would someone like to tell me what they got for B? You're good, Kayla. We're just finishing up the slides from last class. This is the only it's this one and one other one, so you're okay. All right, for B, would anyone like to share how they got B? So we can graph that the way it is right now. So can anyone share what they did to get B and then graphed?
+7 on both sides.
+7 on both sides, good. And what's the equation we got? We got y equals what?
7.
Good. And now how do we graph that?
Go on the y-axis up to 7. It's going to be a horizontal line.
Excellent, sir. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So if you got these two graphs, you guys are correct. Anyone have any questions on any of the work here, guys? Any questions on the practice problem? All right, all right. Kayla, they were able to get these practice problems already, or do you need more time?
Just give me 1 second.
Oh, yeah, no worries. Just let me know when you're good, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
I'm good.
And these are the others. This is the slides you missed, Kayla. We want to take a quick picture of them real quick.
Yes.
If anyone else was late, this is the first slide we did. I'll give you a few seconds to take a picture of this. And then I'm gonna show you one other slide that you miss.
I got the picture for that one.
And then this is the other one you missed, the example before the practice problem. Let me know when you got it.
I got it.
All right. And here is today's lecture, guys, finishing off chapter 10. Here's 10.4. I'll give you about 3 minutes to write the definition and the equation, this whole box. I want you to write everything that's in this yellow box, okay? And make it slightly bigger for you guys. And then I'm gonna give you guys would y'all say 3 minutes is enough to write this? I'll add more time if I need more time, okay? 3 minutes starting now. All right, so let's talk about what the slide says. So the definition of slope, guys, which I want you to start knowing intuitively, is the slant or steepness of a line. Slope only tends to correlate with lines. Now, the slope of a line, the slope m of the line containing the points x1, y1, x2, y2 is given by m equals rise over run equals change in y over the change in x, which is just pretty much equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, as long as x2 never equals x1. Now, does anyone have any questions or need more time for what was on the slide? Because we're going to apply to it in different examples moving forward. All right, let's move on. Now, summary of slope. Slope m through x1, y1, and x2, y2 is given by the equation m equals y2 minus y1 over x minus x1, which what we're going to be utilizing in today's lesson. Now, you need to know the behaviors of lines. So in this first graph here where it says upward line, you see the line is going up, and that means the slope is positive. Now, when the line's going downward, the slope's going to be negative. When it's a horizontal line, it's a zero slope. And a vertical line is a undefined slope or no slope at all. So I'm going to go ahead and give you guys about 4 minutes on this slide to copy the summary of each of the behaviors. It's very important that you're able to look at a line on your own and say, oh, that's a positive slope. Oh, that's going to be a negative slope. Oh, that's a zero slope. And so forth. Okay, so I'll give you some time to copy these down. Alright, guys, that was 4 minutes. Was that enough time for everyone to get these graphs into their journals? Or would anyone need more time? Alright, let's go ahead and keep going. Alright, example. I'll go ahead and give you a minute to write down the sentence and what, what it wants us to do. We're gonna find the slope through these points and then graph the line. We're doing it twice, so we're gonna start with A first, and give you a minute to write this down, and then we'll jump into it. Alright, let's get into it. So to find the slope, we have to utilize that equation that was given to us earlier in the lecture. The m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So to utilize this formula, we gotta label our points here. So I'm gonna go ahead and start with this first point being x1, y1. Now I'm gonna call the second point x2, y2. Now it's very important that you can label any point as you prefer. You can have x1, y1 on the right and x2, y2 on the left, as long as x1 is with y1 and x2 is with y2. Now that we have our points labeled, our numbers labeled in our formula, we're gonna go ahead and plug these in. So instead of y2, you see I have that labeled as -3, and then minus, right? Because the formula says minus y1, which is -5, over x2, which is a 2, and then at minus x1, which is -1. Now, we know two negatives in mathematics, two and two minus negative is gonna make it into a positive. So we're gonna go ahead and do 2 plus 1 on the bottom. And it'll be -3 minus 5, which simplifies to what? Well, -3 minus 5 is -8. 2 plus 1 is 3. So we have m equals -8 over 3. Now it's a negative slope, so what kind of line is that gonna be? Upward or downward? Now we have to graph the line, so go ahead and, let me double check my math. -3 take away 5 is -8. And then 2 minus -1, 2 plus 1 is 3. Okay, yeah, we're good with my math. Now for the second part, graph the line, draw your y-axis. And then sketch your x-axis. And we're gonna go ahead and plot these 2 points. Cause that's all we need is 2 points to graph, right? So it'll be -1. X's, so it'll be -1, -2, -3, +1, +2, +3. Then go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, go up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now get your colored. So will be -1, 5. X is -1, +5. Boom, right there. And then we get the next point, +2x, -3y, right there. Boom. Get your ruler or straight edge and draw your line. And you can see the lines going downward because it's a negative slope. And we're done. Any questions on the formula, the labeling, the plugging in, simplifying, or the graphing? Any questions on what we just did? All right, let's go ahead and run it back with example B class. It says find the slope of the line through -1 comma -2 and 2 comma 4. Graph the line. So let's go ahead and look at it. So we're gonna go ahead and those are the 2 points. Let's label them, right? So we'll have x1, y1, x2, y2. Now, the beautiful thing is if you guys label them backwards, like if you're doing it in your notes and you did x2, y2, x1, y1, the opposites, we should still get the same answer. Now, if our answers do not match, then that means your simplification is where you made your mistake at. So we have the formula. I'm not gonna rewrite the formula because it is up here in blue. So, but I'm gonna start, so it'll be m equals, right? Y2, which is +4, minus y1, which is -2, over x2, which is +2, minus -1. We notice both the numerator and denominator have the minus and negative, which we know both of these two make a positive. So it becomes 4 + 2 over 2 + 1. 4 + 2 is 6, 2 + 1 is 3. 6 divided by 3, guys, becomes a whole number of 2. So we get m equals 2 as the answer here. Now we're not done. We have to graph. But if you can take a guess, what kind of line is it? Is it going to be upward, downward, vertical, horizontal? Looking at the slope, it's a +2. -1, -2, boom. +2, 4. Boom. Connect your points. And it is an upward line for a positive slope. It matches. Any questions on any of the steps we took for either example A or B, guys? Any questions at all?
Can you go over B again? Because I was copying.
Okay, let me know. Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Let's look at B. So find the slope of the line -1 comma -2 and 2 comma 4. Graph the line. So first things first, we label the points x1, y1, x2, y2. And then we plug it into the formula that I put on top of in example A right here. So then we have y2, which was 4, minus y1, which y1 was -2, over 2 minus -1 for x1. So right there, we have two negatives on both, right? And remember, in math, when we have two negatives, it makes a positive. So I made that into a 4 + 2 and a 2 + 1, which now we can simplify. 4 + 2 is 6, 2 + 1 is 3, which gives us 6/3, which is a division problem. 6 divided by 3, which gives us the 2. So the slope for this line is 2. And then we had to graph it. So I graphed the 2 points they gave us, and voila, we are done.
So we're graphing the points that they gave us, right?
That is correct.
And then M is the slope? Or
It's correct. Yes.
okay, thank you.
Mhm. Great questions, guys. Anyone else have any questions? Please ask away. There's no such thing as a bad question. Questions are a way to give us that confidence and knowledge that we need to understand what we're looking at, right? All right, let's move on. Here are some practice problems, guys. I'm gonna go ahead and for this one, you're just gonna go ahead and find the slope. You don't have to graph them here. So you want to label and plug in and simplify. I'll give you all 3 minutes on this one. Good luck. All right. Anyone still working or can we go over these? All right, let's go ahead and talk about it. So what did y'all get for M equals for the first one? Now, not the formula, I'm talking for final answer now. Y'all go ahead and type it into your chat. Now, we're gonna do a fraction. I'll show you. It's just gonna be like 3 over, this is how you write 3/4 and so on. So what y'all get for the first practice problem? Thank you, Tanya. Got M equals 1. Anyone else? Go ahead and type in your answers now for the first one. M equals what for the slope? If you got M equals 1, guys, so everyone is agreeing with the M equals 1. So I'm gonna label them and see what happens, right? To see if I can get the 1, 2. So then we get 5 minus 11 over 2 minus -4. 2 minus -4 is 2 plus 4, which is +6. 5 minus 11 is -6. A -6 divided by 6 is what? It's not a 1, it's a -1. So does everyone see how the slope should be -1 and not +1? Now, little mistakes like that do happen, and I'm glad it's happening here in the practice problem as opposed to you on the online homework or test, right? So good, good, good. That's how you get the first one. All right, go ahead and type in your answer for the second slope. M equals what for the second one? And if it's a fraction, make sure you give me the simplified version, the most simplified fraction. All right, guys, I'm getting into the, okay, there you go. Okay, so I did get 2 answers and I just want to talk about how do you go from one to the other. So I got M equals 2, 6, M equals 1/3. Now they both equal the same, but one of them can be what? One can be simplified, right? Which one? The 1/3 or the 2, 6? The 2, 6, right? Because we can divide the top by 2 and the bottom by 2 as well and get the 1/3 that we needed. All right, all right, all right. Any questions, guys, on any of these practice problems? All right, if there's no questions, go ahead and keep moving. Now, go ahead and write the slope intercept form. Now, we have written this already, but we're gonna rewrite it again to touch on it again. I'm gonna go ahead and give you guys about 3 minutes to write the slope and then example A and B. You can skip 3 lines after A to write B down, okay, guys? So that you write A and B. Alright, so let's look at this form. So slope intercept form comes in clutch in different points, right? So for this one, it's y equals mx plus b. Here we know y is by itself, m and x are together, and b. We know m is the slope of the line, where b is the y-intercept in the point of 0 comma b. Our objective for examples A and B is to find the slope and y-intercept from the equation. Now, if it's in slope intercept form, y equals, it's a lot easier. Look at A, y equals 3/4x plus 6. This is in slope intercept form, making it much easier. So we just need to write what m equals and what b equals. And we know m is next to x, so 3/4 x, so m is equal to 3/4, not 3/4 x. Do not write x with m equals. It's just a number. Now the b is the number after the x term, which is here. It's in this case, it's 6. But I want you to just write, don't write it. I want you to write b equals 6, but also write it like an ordered pair as well. We know it's 0 comma b as well. And we're done with A. Let's look at B. Find the slope and y-intercept of the line whose equation is 3x minus 4y equals 4. Unfortunately, it's not in slope intercept form, but luckily, guys, guess what? I told you we can get, as long as we get y by itself. So from this step, 3x minus 4y equals 4. We're gonna go ahead and solve for y. That's the first thing we're gonna do, is we're gonna get y by itself. Now, before I jump on to B, does anyone have any questions on the form or the work for A? I'm sure I realized I didn't ask. Are there any questions for A? All right. So for B, we're gonna get y by itself. So we have 3x minus 4y equals 4. So draw the line down the equal sign. Remember, we want to get y by itself, guys. So can anyone tell me, how do we move a 3x over? We're gonna subtract it. And what we do to one side, we do to the other. So that cancels out. So then I get negative 4y is equal to negative 3x plus 4. Now, the only reason why I put the x term first is because mx plus b, right? X is first. So that's why I switched the order up. Could I wrote 4 minus 3x? Yeah, I could have, but I don't want to make the mistake and pick 4 as my slope, right? When it's actually next to the x. So that's why I changed the order up. Now, we're not done yet. Y is not by itself, so we're gonna have to divide by negative 4. And what we do to one side, we're gonna have to do to both sides. Now, the right side happens to have 2 terms, so I'm gonna divide by negative 4 on both sides. So here the negative 4's cancel, and we're left with y equals, and then negative negative makes positive 3/4 x, and a positive 4 divided by negative 4 is a negative 1. Now we have y equals by itself. Now remember, m is next to the x and b is by itself. So now let's go ahead and label these. So we know m equals 3/4. And here b is the number by itself, which is negative 1. But as a point, it'll be 0 comma negative 1. And we're done. This is an arrow to convert it. What questions do we have on any of the work I did for A or B? All right, let's go and move on. Now here is some practice problems, guys. Your job is to find M equals, B equals, and the order pair that goes with B. I'm gonna go ahead and give you guys 3 minutes on this one. I'll add more time if needed. Good luck. All right, all right. Anyone still working on either A or B, guys? Anyone need more time for A or B? All right, let's go ahead and write M equals and B equals and the ordered pair in the chat, guys, for A. M equals, B equals, and the ordered pair, all three in the chat. You can separate them with commas, you can separate them with spaces, but write all three. Remember, ordered pair is supposed to have parentheses. Good luck. Let's see how everyone did with A. Don't overthink the typing. It's okay, Tanya. Just go ahead and retype it with the correct values. So far, so good. Kayla, you're great. Fatima Gul, you're doing excellent as well. Your formatting on the order pair is a little incorrect, Fatima Gul. It's supposed to be a comma, not an apostrophe, and just forgetting the parentheses. But as long as you type that into your online homework, if they ask you for the order pair, make sure you take care of that, okay? Now go ahead and all right, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and be working these out. All right, so let's go back to the other side before I jump into these practice problems. So the formula slope intercept form is y equals mx plus b. The reason why this formula is so special is because m is next to what letter? First, we know y is by itself, and we know m is next to x, where we know m is the what? M is the slope of the line. So if y is by itself, then m is gonna be the number next to x. And then when if y is by itself, b, the number by itself is 0b, which is also the what? The y-intercept of the line. So the objective is, if you know this formula and you know that m is the slope and b is the y-intercept, then if a question asks you what's the slope and what's the intercept from the equation, then you use the formula y equals mx plus b to say that m is 3/4 next to x and b is 6, which is 0, 6 as an ordered pair. So take that same logic, Sarah, and anyone else who doesn't know, is y equals mx plus b. Ask yourselves, Sarah, is this question in slope intercept form? Yes or no? Is it in the shape of y equals mx plus b?
Yes.
Excellent. Knowing that it is in slope intercept, we can easily tell me what m is equal to and what b is equal to. And looking at the formula, we know m is next to what letter?
2/3.
There you go. Excellent, man. Great job. And then b in this point will be what?
-2.
And as an ordered pair?
I'm not sure.
So let's go back to the formula. Do you have your notes with you? It tells you right here as an ordered pair.
Okay, 0b, gotcha. So 0 and then -2.
Excellent. And we're done with A.
Thank you.
No, thank you for letting me know, right? I wouldn't have been able to explain it again if I didn't know you didn't understand it. So please do not be afraid to tell me you don't understand or what if you need extra help. This is what class is for. B, find the slope of the y-intercept of the line whose equation is 5x plus 2y equals 8. Can I have a volunteer? Can someone answer, is this formula in slope intercept form? Yes or no?
No.
It is not. So how do we get it to become the form? What do we have to do? Solve for what?
Why?
We have to solve for y. So we have to get y by itself. So draw the line down the equal sign. So how do I get y by itself? Can someone tell me how do I move 5x to the other side? Subtract 5x. What we do to one side, we do to the other. So it cancels out. So then we get 2y equals. Now, what do I write after this equal sign? Help me out.
8 minus 5x.
8 minus 5x. Now, is y by itself yet? No, right? How do I get y by itself? What's my final step, everyone?
Divided by 2.
Divide by 2. So I'm gonna divide everything on the right side by 2. So the 2's cancel, so y is by itself. 8 divided by 2 is 4. And then -5/2, that does not simplify, so leave that alone. That's the simplified form, and bring the x next to it. Now, is it in y? Is y by itself now? Yes. So now y'all should be able to tell me what M is and B is. Remember the logic, M is where and where is B? So can someone tell me what M is looking at this formula?
-5/2.
Excellent. Why did you choose that and not 4?
Because it has, because it's a slope and it has the X next to it.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. Now, could someone please tell me what they got for the B value and the ordered pair?
4.
4. And the ordered pair?
0, 4.
Excellent again. And we're done. Any questions so far? Any questions so far? Do you feel better off, Sarah? And everyone else? Y'all feel good now after we worked these out together?
Yes.
Good, good, good. That's good to hear. Any other questions before we move on, guys? Any questions at all? Now remember to jump onto the homework when you have the time so that we can practice these notes on your own as well, okay? And if you like, you can go to the math lab and work on the homework there where you can easily access a tutor to help you on any and every problem you need help with, okay? We're down to the last 3 weeks of the semester, so try to get, stay on top of it. All right. Example A, I'm gonna go ahead and give you guys 1 minute to write down A and B into your notebook. And we'll jump into it.
And what formula was used? It's the same one, mx plus b.
Well, you only use that formula if it gives us that form. If you see the formula y equals mx plus b, then we utilize this information. But remember, we covered behaviors of slope earlier on when this slide here. So it says here, if we have a horizontal line, which is y equals a number, the slope is what?
0.
And if it's a vertical line, x equals a number, it's a what kind of slope?
Unidentified slope.
And then we go back to the example, look at it. And it says y equals a number. So is that gonna be mx plus b? Or is that gonna be a horizontal line or a vertical line? So, and that's not just for one student, it's for everyone, guys. Look at this equation. When y'all see y equals -1, what line do you see? Is it y equals mx plus b? Is it a horizontal or a vertical line?
Horizontal.
It's gonna be horizontal. And it wants us to find the slope. So since it's a horizontal line, what's the slope of a horizontal line? M equals what? M equals 0.
I have a question.
Yes,
So when it says y equals a number, it's gonna be horizontal, and if it says x equals a number, it's gonna be vertical.
that is correct.
Okay, thank you.
No, thank you for your question. Now let's take a look at B, guys. Find the slope of the line x equals 5. And someone just mentioned that x equals number is a vertical line. Can anyone tell me what the slope is for that? I believe the slope is undefined. So, or you can write undefined slope. Or you can write that, or you can write or no slope. There, these two justify the same means. But this one over here is zero slope, the one for horizontal. Zero slope. Any questions so far on A and B, or A or B?
It's zero slope because it's horizontal, right?
That is correct. Every horizontal line in mathematics will have a zero slope. M equals zero, M equals zero.
Okay, I just need a little more time to copy.
Let me know when you're good to go.
Okay, okay, I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, here are some examples. I'm gonna go ahead and give you guys about 1 minute on these example problems, or 2 minutes so you can write them down as well. 2 minutes, good luck. All right, anyone want to show what they got for the slope for the first practice problem for y equals 3? M equals what?
0.
That is correct. Now, what about the slope for the second line? Anyone before I call out on someone random? Any volunteers? What did you get for the slope for x equals -4?
Would it be no slope?
No slope, yes. Another way to say it, other than no slope?
Undefined.
There we go, or undefined. Excellent, guys. Any questions on how we figured these out? Any question on how to figure these out? Just pretty much needing to know the properties, right? Being able to look at an equation, be, oh, that's a vertical line. Oh, that's gonna be horizontal. Oh, that's y equals mx plus b. Oh, we should solve for y for that, stuff like that. Picking up on it. All right, let's go ahead and move on. Now we're going into the properties of two special types of lines, parallel lines and perpendicular lines. So I'm gonna go ahead and give you guys about 4 minutes to write down these definitions, the title, the definitions, and these two graph examples. Okay, guys. Good luck. I'm gonna do 3 minutes and I'll add a minute if you need more time. All right. Anyone need more time to copy these definitions and graphs? Okay, let me know when you're good to go. Alright, anyone else need more time, guys? Anyone? So parallel lines. So let's look at parallel lines. So parallel lines are non-vertical parallel lines, have the same slope and different y-intercepts. So here they cross the y-axis at separate times, but they're parallel because they rise and run the same. So what do we know about parallel lines? That they're never going to what? If we were to extend these lines out to forever, these lines will never do what?
They're
Since
never gonna intersect.
that is correct. The main thing to understand from parallel lines is they're never going to touch. And to understand why they're not gonna touch. And they're not gonna touch because they have the same slope. They're running the same rise and run throughout the whole infinity thing, and they just cross at y-axis differently. Now, perpendicular lines is the product of the slopes of two lines is -1. We know product means multiplication. So if we multiply two different slopes and get -1, then the lines are perpendicular. Now, how do we know? Now, what if we don't want to multiply the slopes? If we don't want to multiply the slopes, then the way you know is if the slope of one is the negative reciprocal of the slope of the other. So negative means opposite. And reciprocal means flip. So we're looking for the opposite flipped slope. And if they're opposite flips of each other, negative reciprocals, opposite reciprocals, then they are perpendicular. And you're gonna see these examples as we move forward in the lecture. Now, before we get into some examples, here's some helpful hints. Now, here are some examples of numbers that are negative or opposite reciprocals. So go ahead and write this graph down, and then there's some important facts as well. I'm gonna go ahead and let's go ahead and give y'all 4 minutes for this one. There's a lot of information here. And then we'll go ahead and talk about it. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and talk over the first helpful hint. So here are some examples of numbers. So the first number they give us is 2/3. Um, so 2/3, the negative reciprocal. So since 2/3 was positive, then opposite of positive is negative. Boom. The reciprocal, remember reciprocal means flip. So flip 2/3, it becomes 3/2. So then the opposite reciprocal or the negative reciprocal or the opposite flip all means the same thing, right? Is -3/2. Well, how do we know if they're going to be perpendicular? Well, when we multiply, the product is -1. So 2/3 times -3/2 is -6/6, which is -1. So they satisfy the perpendicular rule. Now, what if it's a -5, right? Well, a -5, to make any number into a fraction, we covered this before, is just over 1, which is what they did here for the OR. Now, the opposite of negative is positive. Now flip 5/1, you get 1/5. Multiply these two, and you get -5/5, which is -1. So it's kind of giving you examples of how do you know, or how do you find, or how do you check? Because we're going to be utilizing this procedure when they ask us, hey, find me a perpendicular line. Hey, are these two lines perpendicular? Hey, are they parallel? You need to know the difference from opposite reciprocal. Now, here's some more important facts about vertical and horizontal lines. Now, the first one is two vertical lines, distinct means they're different. Two distinct vertical lines are going to be parallel. Two distinct horizontal lines are parallel. And then the horizontal line and vertical line are always going to be perpendicular. Horizontal with vertical. That's simple as that. So we're going to use this information in this slide to help apply into some other examples. Anyone still need more time to copy these down before we move on?
Just give me 1 second.
Let me know when you're good. No worries.
Okay, I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, let's go ahead and move on. Example, determine whether each pair of lines is parallel, perpendicular, or neither. So I'm gonna go ahead and give you guys about 2 minutes to set up the sentence and write down A, B, and C. Notice that there's 3 pairs of equations. So we're gonna A, it's its own problem, B, it's its own problem, so it's C. So 2 minutes to set it up before we jump into it. All right, let's get into it, guys. So you're probably wondering, well, how do we determine that, sir? We have two formulas. We know parallel lines have the same slope. We know perpendicular lines have the opposite reciprocal. Um, and then if it's not the same, if it's not opposite reciprocal, then it's gonna be neither, right? Well, we have these equations, they're all linear, they're all lines, right? So how do we do that? The key to this is solve for y. When we solve for y, we get them into slope intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b. And we know m, the slope, is next to the x. So once we solve for y and we get what m is, we can test if they're the same, if they're opposite reciprocals, or neither. So we can say if they're parallel, perpendicular, or neither. Let's look at A. Well, the first equation, y equals -1/5 x. Right there, we have the first m equals. We know M1, so M1 and M2, right? Because there's two slopes here. So now to get the second slope of the second equation, we have to solve for y. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and subtract 2x on both sides. Because we want to get y equals, right? So we can get the slope. So then we get 10y equals -2x plus 3. Divide both sides by 10. So then we get -2/10. So y equals, well, guess what? -2/10 reduces or simplifies to -1/5. X plus 3/10. Now, we do not care about the b's here. We only care for the m. So we have m1 and m2. So we know m1 is -1/5. We know m2 is -1/5. Now, they're both the same class. So since they're both the same slope, then we can say they are parallel lines. And we're done with A. Any questions on what I did for A? All right, let's take a look at B. Unfortunately for B and C, the plot thickens and we have to solve for y for both of these. So for the first one, x plus y equals 3. I'm gonna go ahead and subtract x on both sides, right, to get y by itself. So then I get y equals -x plus 3. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and get the second equation written down. So it's gonna be -x plus y equals 4. We'll go ahead and get y by itself, right? So I'm gonna add x on both sides. So then I get y equals x plus 4. Here we have the both m's. So we can say that m is equal to m1. The first one right here is -1, right? So m1 equals -1. And here for the second one, m2 is equal to a +1. Interesting. So they can't be parallel because they're not the same. Now, are they opposite reciprocals is the question. So first is asked, are they opposites? So is one negative, one positive? So yes, they're opposites. That's good so far. Now, are they reciprocals? So reciprocals is if we flip it, will we get the is it the opposite reciprocal, right? So 1, how do we make 1 into a fraction? 1/1, right? Oh, sorry, let me rewrite that. So it'll be 1/1. We'll flip that over again. 1/1 is 1/1. Oh, they are reciprocals and they are opposite. So since they're opposite reciprocals, guys, we can say they're also what? Perpendicular. Now, it's so funny because 1 is the special number, right? One is the only number that the reciprocal of 1 is 1. It's itself, right? Now, if we get 2, for example, this is just like a random example to show you. So for example, if we have 2 as the slope, make that into a fraction, the reciprocal or the flip of 2/1 is 1/2. So it's different values, right? 1 is the only number in math that we can flip it and get the same thing. So they are opposite reciprocals. All right, let's take a look at C. We have to solve for y for both of these. So let's start with the first one. 3x plus y equals 5. I'm gonna minus 3x to get this y by itself. So I get y equals negative 3x plus 5. Now I'm gonna go ahead and get the second one now. 2x plus 3y equals 6. Remember, we want to get y by itself. So subtract 2x on both sides. Then we get 3y equals negative 2x plus 6. Divide both sides by 3. So then I get y equals negative 2/3 x plus 2, because 6 divided by 3 is 2. Now let's look at the two slopes. We have negative 3 and negative 2/3. Could they be opposite reciprocals? Are they opposites? Yes or no, class? Negative 3 and negative 2/3. Can they be deemed opposite?
No.
No, right? Because they're the same sign, so they cannot be perpendicular. Now, to be parallel, they need to be exactly the same. Are they exactly the same?
No.
No. Therefore, our final option it can be is neither. And we're done. So these are examples for parallel, perpendicular, and neither. Any questions on any of the procedures we did here? Now, there's nothing new. Do we know how to solve for y? Yes, we've done that before. It's not the first time we've done it. Do we know what m and b is? Do we know how to find the slope of an equation? Yes, we use y equals mx plus b. When m is next to x is the slope. All right, whoever's copied, let me know when you're good to go so I can move on.
Okay, I will. Okay, I'm done copying. Thank you.
No, thank you. Is anyone else still copying before I move on, guys? All right, let's keep going. Here is a practice problem, guys. This is going to be a juicy one because you had to solve for y for a few times. So your final answers I'm going to be asking for is if they're going to be parallel, perpendicular, or neither. I'm not going to ask you for the slopes. I'm not going to ask you to tell me what y equals are. The final answer I need to hear from you is a parallel, perpendicular, or neither, and so forth. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and give you guys about 6 minutes to work through these, or 5 minutes, and I'll add more time if needed. Good luck. Very similar to what we just did, okay? So don't overthink this, all right? Good luck. All right, guys, let's talk about A. So go ahead and put your answer for A. Did you get parallel, perpendicular, or neither? Go ahead and enter it into the chat. Now remember, it's not about right or wrong answers. It's do you know what it's asking you to do? Okay. We have a couple parallel lines. Anyone got something different or more of the same for A? This is for A. Now remember, to be parallel lines, the slopes have to become the what? The same, right? So let's go ahead and so we know the slope for the first line. What's the slope for the first equation? Y equals negative 5x plus 1. What's my slope for the first one?
-5.
Good. Now for the second one, we don't know the slope, so we have to solve for it, right? Now, the way we solve for it is we get what by itself? What's our objective now?
To get y by itself.
That is correct. So we do that by first subtracting x on both sides. So it cancels out. So then we get negative 5y equals negative x plus 10. Divide both sides by negative 5. Cancels out the 5. We get y equals negative, negative. There's an invisible 1 there. So two negatives make a positive 1 over 5x. And then 10 divided by 5 is negative 2. Right there, we have the slope now. Slope is 1/5. Now, once again, guys, to be parallel, the slopes would have had to been the what, guys? Anyone can tell me?
Exactly the same.
Yeah, and are these slopes exactly the same?
No.
No. So A is not parallel, guys. Now let's see if it can be perpendicular. Now remember, to be perpendicular, they need to hit 2 points. They need to be opposite and reciprocals of each other. Opposite and reciprocals. So first, are they opposites of each other? Is one positive, one negative? Yes. Now are they reciprocals? So let's flip one. So how do we make 5 into a fraction over 1, right? What's the reciprocal of 5 over 1? Flip it. What do we get? 1 over 5. So are they are opposites. Now, are they reciprocals of each other? Yes, they are. So option A should have been what? What type of lines, guys?
Perpendicular.
It should have been perpendicular. Does everyone see that, guys? Okay, let's talk about B. Go ahead and type in the chat what you got for B. So we have neither. If you got neither for B, you are correct, guys. Does anyone need me to work out B or talk about B? Or is everyone okay with what it is?
Can you work it out, please?
Yes, I can. So let's look at B. So we have X plus Y equals 11. We're gonna get Y by itself. So subtract X on both sides. So then we get Y equals negative X plus 11. So right there, M is -1, right? It's next to X. Now I'm gonna go ahead and do the second one, 2X plus Y equals 11. Subtract 2X on both sides, right? Because we want to get Y by itself. Then we get Y equals -2X plus 11. Go ahead and circle or highlight the slopes or write them down, M1 and M2. Here, M1 is -1, and here M2 is -2. Now, are these guys are these slopes the same? Are they the same or opposite reciprocal? One second, guys. Sorry, I got someone ring my doorbell. Okay. So, all right, no one was there though. All right, so let's look at these two slopes. They're not the same, so they're not parallel. They're not opposite, so they're not perpendicular. So since they're not the same, they're not opposite reciprocals, we can confirm that they are neither. Does everyone see how we kind of work these out, these types of problems? Solve for Y, get the M's, compare the M's, and then go down the checklist. All right, would anyone like to share what they got for C? Are the lines in C either parallel, perpendicular, or neither? For C.
So A was perpendicular and B was parallel.
No, B was neither.
Oh, neither. Okay, thanks.
All right. So far, C, one student has shared they got parallel. Does anyone, did anyone else get parallel? Did someone else get something different? If you got parallel for C, guys, you are correct. Does anyone have any questions on what we did on C, or does anyone need me to work out C?
Can you work it out, please?
Yes. So let's look at C. So we have 2X plus 3Y equals 21. We want to get Y by itself, guys. So someone tell me the steps, because I know how to solve for Y, but do you? How do I get Y by itself?
Subtract 2x.
Correct. Do that on both sides. Cancels out, 3Y equals, what happens on the right side?
Negative 2x minus 21.
Well, what kind of 21 is it? Is it plus or negative?
Plus.
It's a plus because it's a positive 21. All right, next step, what do we do to get Y by itself?
Divided by 3.
Correct, again. So then we get Y by itself equals -2/3 X plus 7. So right there, we have the first M, right, which is -2/3. Now we need to solve the other equation. So we have 6Y equals -4X minus 2. How do I get Y by itself in this one?
And divided by 6.
That's correct again. Now is -4/6 the most simplified it can be? Is there a number that goes into 4 and 6?
2.
Yeah, how many twos go into 4?
2.
So it'll be -2. How many twos go into 6?
3.
Good, bring down the X. Now 2, 6 is just 1/3. Now what's my M for the pink one?
Negative 2/3.
Correct again. Now look at the slopes. Are they the same? Are they the opposite reciprocal? Are they different?
They're the same.
So therefore, since they're the same, we can say they are.
Parallel.
That is correct. Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone need time to work these down, guys? Moving on. Now we're on 10.5, guys. Let me go ahead and give you guys a 5-minute break to go to the restroom, get some water, stretch your legs, stretch your hands, and then we'll get back onto it in 5 minutes, okay? I forgot to record. So I'm gonna go ahead and say a little bit more again since I just recorded again. All right, guys, so the way we do this example is we want to use the slope intercept form y equals mx plus b to graph this line. We know m is the slope and we know the b by number by itself is 0b, which is the y-intercept. So look at this example here, y equals 3/5 x minus 2. We know the slope is 3/5 or 3/5. And another way to describe slope is rise over 1. So in this case, we're going to rise 3 and run 5. And recall that we're always run to the right no matter what. Now, if it's a positive slope, we go up, we rise. If it's a negative slope, that's when we fall or go down. But we always run to the right. Now look at B. B is a number by itself, which is -2. And as an ordered pair is 0, -2. We go ahead and plot the point the y-intercept first off of the y-axis, 0, -2, and then apply the slope, rise 3, run 5 to get where we're at now. And then you plot your 2 points, and the second point's at 5, 1, and connect your 2, and you have your line or your graph of the line. Anyone need more time before I move on?
I'm just a little bit confused on the last part. So B equals -2. And then what do you mean like rise over run?
So
B is Y, right?
so the first thing we know is since you agree that b equals -2, right?
Yes.
And to write it as an ordered pair is 0, -2, right?
Yes.
So that's where we plot the first point, right? The first point right here on the y-axis. Then we apply the slope by, once we put that first point there, we're gonna rise 3. So 1, 2, 3. This is the rise 3 right here. And then I'm gonna run 5 to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and put the dot there. So that's run 5, which is we're applying the slope at this point to get an additional point. Because remember, how many points do we need to graph a line?
2.
2. So when we do the rise 3, run 5, that gives us the second point. We plot it and then connect the 2 to make our graph.
Okay, thank you.
No, thank you for your question. I'm glad you asked. All right, go ahead and try this out on your own, guys. I'm going to give you guys about 2 minutes on this one. And I'll add more time if you need it. Good luck. Alright. So for this line, guys, did y'all get an upward line, a downward line? Did it go up? Did it go down? Anyone still working? Alright, let's see how you guys did. Anyone want to tell me what they got for M? For M equals.
2/3.
Excellent. Now, what does that say about the slope? What do we rise? What do we run?
We would rise 2 and run 3.
Good. Rise 2 and run 3. Now, so which means it's gonna be up and right. Now for the B, what do I get for the Y intercept or B? You get -5 as an order pair, guys. What is it as an order pair? Zero comma -5, right? All right, now if we're graphing this just using the equation, no table, no calculator, all by hand. What's the first step we do, class? What did y'all do? Let's see if anyone can tell me, help me out here. After we labeled M and B, what's the next phase of attack?
Plot B, -5 on, so 0, so it'll go down on the y-axis.
On the y-axis, correct. Good job, Sarah. Good, good, good. Now, do we have what we need to find the other points to make a line? Now, how will I find the next point? Anyone like to chime in?
You use the rise and the run. MX, M.
Good, we use the M, right? We're gonna rise to. So it'll be 1, 2. Now, on your graph, you can draw the little camel back, say that's cool. If it throws you off, you don't have to. If they like them, draw them. 1, 2, 3, plot your point. And the cool thing about the slope, guys, I can keep going. I can go up 2 again. 1, 2, run 3. 1, 2, 3. I can plot as many points as I want that fits on this graph. That way my line is a little bit more cleaner. But in reality, mathematically, how many points do we only need to really graph a line? Anyone? We only need 2 points. Correct, Priscilla. Good job. And voila, did y'all get the same graph? How do you feel about graphing using the formula? Anyone still confused about anything? Brianna, sorry for working on it when you worked on it, but did your work match with my work? Are you okay with the steps we did? Everyone else? Excellent, Brianna,
I
good.
got
Go
it,
ahead.
sir, but you say we always run to the right, but what happens if something's negative? And
Great, 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 great question, Tanya. So let's look at the example. M equals -3/4. Well, the reason why I avoid because because you could technically run to the left, if that's not impossible. But the process of that, when people are shown to go left instead of down, it kind of makes it a little easier. Like, for example, if it's a positive slope, we're gonna rise up. If it's a negative slope, Tanya, then we fall and we go down instead. And then, but if we run 4 as well, still though, we run 4, which is still if we keep the consistency of always running to the right, the only thing that changes is the up and down. Now, if you want to go left, Tanya, then at that point, you want to keep going up no matter what. And then you only go right if it's a positive slope, you go left if it's negative slope. You know, see what I mean? So when you include the left direction, it kind of makes it a little trickier to really get it down. Or for me, when I teach this concept, I commit to you guys to always run to the right, and the only directions that change for us is up or down, depending if it's a positive or negative. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
No, thank you for your question. All right, so now it gets a little more algebraically. So I'm gonna let you write this example down. Find an equation of the line with y-intercept 0, -3, and the slope of 1/4. So I'll give you about a minute to copy this down before I jump into it, okay? All right, let's take a look at this example. Find an equation of the line with y-intercept 0, -3, and the slope of 1/4. They're giving us two pieces of information, class. What two facts are they giving us when you read the example? They give us the y-intercept and the what? The slope. Now, is there any linear equations we know that involve the intercept and the slope? Yeah, we do. We have the slope intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b. Now, from this example, guys, can you tell me what m is? M is it -3 or is it 1/4? M. It is 1/4. Now look at the B. What did y'all get for B reading the example? It's -3. Now, if we have a formula and we have them labeled, we can now plug it in, right? So we will get y equals 1/4x -3. And just like that, class, we found an equation for the line with the intercept of 0, -3, and slope of 1/4. And we're done. What questions do we have on the steps that I took in this example? Any questions at all?
So that's the answer there, just y equals 1/4.
Yep, because they want us to find the equation. That is correct.
Thank you.
No, thank you. You try it out on your own now. I'm gonna go ahead and give you guys 2 minutes on this one. Good luck. All right, that was 2 minutes. Anyone need more time or anyone still working before we talk about it? All right. What's the equation, guys? Type it into your chat. All right, all right. If you got y equals 1/2 x plus 7, guys, you are correct. Good job, Tanya. Good job, Priscilla. Good job, Annette, and good job, Brianna. Hashtag nerd status. All right, let's move on. Well, anyone have any questions before we move on?
No.
All right, let's go. So now this is the third formula. I showed you standard form ax plus b y equals c. I showed you slope intercept y equals mx plus b. Now this is the third one. I'll go ahead and give you a couple minutes to write this slide down. And then we'll move on, okay? We're gonna go ahead and use it in the next examples, okay? All right, the point slope formula is y, the point slope is y minus y1 equals m parentheses x minus x1, where x1, y1, it's a point on the line. Where m is the slope, which we know, and x1, y1 is the point on the line. Anyone need more time to copy this down before we move on?
Yes, I do.
Let me know when you're good to go.
Okay, I'm ready.
Thank you, thank you. All right. Example. So find an equation of the line with slope -2 that passes through -1, 5. Write the equation in slope intercept form, y equals mx plus b, and in standard form, ax plus by equals c. I'm gonna go ahead and give you guys about a minute to set it up. 2 minutes, because a lot of words, and then we'll go ahead and get into it, okay? Make sure you write down the words exactly the way you see it, because that's how you may see it on the assignment or the test for this chapter. All right. So let's look at what the question is saying again, all right? Find an equation of the line. So we're gonna find an equation again, right? But now they give us parameters. They tell us slope is -2, and it passes through -1, 5, which is a point. The final equation they want is they want it in slope intercept form, and they want it in standard form. Interesting. The plot thickens, guys. So luckily, I gave you a third formula, the y minus y1, the point slope formula. Which I'm gonna go ahead and write it again right here. So y minus y1 equals m parentheses x minus x1. That is the point slope formula. Or form, you can call it form if you want. Okay. Let's look at what they give us. Slope is -2. What letter is slope? That is M. Okay, good. Now it goes through a point, -1, 5. What letters is that gonna be? It's gonna be X1 and Y1. Is everyone with me so far? Now that we have everything labeled and the formula, let's go ahead and plug that in, right? So it'll be y minus y1. Y1 was 5, so it'll be y minus 5 equals m. M was -2 parentheses x minus -1, because that's what x1 was, right? -1. Now we have a bit of a conflict. We have two signs here, negative, negative. Well, luckily, we've dealt with this before. We know two negatives makes a positive, so I'm gonna go ahead and rewrite it again, but as a plus now. And now, when we get to this point and we plugged it in, our job is to solve for y now. We want to get y by itself, because when we get y by itself, that gives us the slope intercept form, right? Y by itself, you see that? So let's go ahead and use algebra. So we distribute this -2 first. -2 times x is -2x. -2 times 1 is -2. Bring down the y minus 1. Oh, not 1. It shouldn't be 1. It should be a 5. Is everyone with me so far, guys?
Yes.
Now we have to get y by itself. So we add 5. So then we get y equals -2x plus 3. And voila, right there, that is our slope intercept form. So that's one of the answers. Someone box it. Now, the next one they want us to find, guys, if you look closely, they want us to find standard form, which is ax plus by equals c. If you notice for that one, you notice that x and y are on the same side on the left side. So we have y equals -2x plus 3. Now to get into standard form, we have to move what over to where, guys? Any guess or ideas? Remember, standard form is ax plus by equals c, where a, b, and c are numbers. What is our objective? To move what two things on the same side? What am I gonna do? I have to move the x over, so I'm gonna add 2x on both sides. Now the x's cancel on the right, but they're not like terms, so I'm gonna write 2x plus y equals +3. And x and y are together, which makes it standard form. And we are now done. Any questions on where we started and the process the steps we took to get where we needed to, guys? All right, anyone need more time to write? Your job is to execute the same steps on your own on next slide, also in your homework and tests as well. So any questions here? All right. I'm gonna go ahead and give you guys 4 minutes on this one. Good luck. All right, does anyone need any more help? Or not more help, more time? I'm sorry.
I just need 1 more minute.
All right, go ahead and add 1 more minute to the timer. All right, guys, so we need to plug in, so we need to find the equation in standard form. They gave us a point and they gave us a slope. So what formula do we start with first, guys? Anyone want to shed some light? With what they gave us, what formula do we use first to get to this endpoint?
Y equals mx plus b.
Ah, so you could, but that'll be a little bit more algebra. You would want to start with the y minus y1 equals m parentheses x minus x1. So that way you can plug in this x1 and y1. Now you could use a slope intercept, the y equals mx plus b, you could, but this is the more traditional approach. So then we'll get y minus 3 equals 4 parentheses x minus 2. Now we go ahead and solve for y to get the mx plus b form. So then we get 4x minus 8. Bring down the y minus 3. Add 3 on both sides. And then I get y equals 4x minus 5. Now, unfortunately, it's not in standard form yet. So can someone tell me the next step we'll take to get standard form? Remember, we want ax plus by equals c. So we want x and y on the left side. So if I already have y, what do I need to move over to get the standard form? Anyone?
4x.
Yeah, we need to move over the 4x. So we subtract it. So then we cancel that out. So then we get negative 4x plus y equals negative 5. Now the reason why it's a plus y is because y is positive here, so it's going to be plus. And just like that, we're done. Any questions on the steps that we took to solve this one?
Okay, so you did a minus 4x on the right side and then minus y minus 4x. And then, okay, got that. And that's just the equation.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
No, thank you. All right. Go ahead and I'll give you about a minute to write down these examples. These are not complicated ones.
Sir, do you mind going back to the last slide so I could just screenshot it real quick?
Oh, sure. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were done. Let me know
No,
when you're,
thank you.
let me know when you're good.
I didn't get to copy the question. Can you go back up?
Oh, okay, my bad. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Okay, that's good. That's good, thank you.
Look at the first example. Find an equation of the vertical line through -1, 5. Well, we know vertical line is x equals a constant. Our job is to find out what that constant is. Now, this is where it gets a little interesting, right? So let me show you how I will figure it out. So let's make a sketch of a graph real quick. So it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, -1, +1. So right here. So we want a vertical line that goes through this point. So I'm gonna go ahead and sketch a vertical line. So I'm gonna go through here. We notice that the vertical line goes through what x value, guys? Which x value is this? If it goes through this point, then the x value is the x value of the point. So then the equation is x equals -1. So since vertical is x equals, we look at the x value of the point. Look at the second example. Find an equation of the horizontal line through -2, 8. So if we looked at the x value, remember horizontal is y equals c. So if for vertical line, we looked at the x value, can someone tell me what number we're gonna look at for the horizontal? The x or the y? We're gonna be looking at the y value. So then the formula would be y equals 8. Now, if you're wondering, well, how did you know that? How did you figure that out? Well, let me show you by graphing, making a graph. So remember, I want a horizontal line. And look at where it crosses. It crosses to the point and uses the same y value. The same y value. Does everyone see that? So y has to be +8. Any questions for this example, guys? All right, anyone need more time to copy this one down?
Yes, I need more time copying.
Let me know when you're good.
Okay. Can you go over the second one again, please?
All right, guys, so remember, you want to find an equation of the horizontal line through -2, 8. So we know horizontal lines has the formula y equals c, where c is the constant. So there's multiple ways to look at it. The shortcut is just follow the y value of the point, -2, 8. The y value is 8. So the formula has to be y equals 8. Not entirely convinced, we'll go ahead and make a graph and sketch the point -2, 8 and plot it and draw a horizontal line going to that point. You'll see that it'll match with the same y value at +8. Thus confirming the equation y equals 8. Any questions so far?
Yes, so -2 and then 8, wouldn't that be like 2 to the left and
Yeah.
then up 8, and that's the point, right?
Yep, right there. So you see, I went two to the left here. One,
Mhm.
two, and I went up eight to get to that point.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm. We're almost done with the lecture, guys. So find an equation of the vertical line through this point. Go ahead, I'll give you guys about a minute on this one. All right, what's the equation of the vertical line, guys, through this point? Remember, it's a vertical line, so is that a y equals or an x equals line for a vertical? Excellent, Priscilla. Excellent, Tanya. The answer you should have been getting was x equals 3. All right. Any questions on this one, guys? Let's go ahead and finish off strong. Last example. Find an equation parallel to x equals 9 and passing through -1, 7. I'll give you about a minute to set this up into your notebook before I follow through. Okay, so we want to find an equation parallel to x equals 9. So x equals 9, I'm gonna highlight that in orange. I'm gonna make that vertical line right here. We want it to be parallel to this line. Okay, and we know parallel means lines never what? They never touch, right? And we want it to go through -1, 7. -1 through 7 is right here. Now, guys, if I want to make sure these lines are parallel, what kind of line am I going to be drawing? Am I going to be drawing a horizontal line, a vertical line, a downward line, or an upward line? To be parallel to the orange line.
vertical line.
We're gonna have to draw another vertical line. So go ahead and draw that there. So it'll be boom. And boom. Now look at what X value it went through. X is equal to -1. So that is the equation that we needed to find. And to do this one, we needed to remember, hey, vertical lines are parallel and horizontal lines are parallel as well. And we know that horizontal and parallel are perpendicular to each other. Any questions on this one, guys? All right, is anyone still writing this one down? All right. Now this one's the last example, my apologies. So find an equation perpendicular to y equals 9 and passing through -6, 8. So first we need to go ahead and let's graph y equals 9. Guys, is y equals 9 horizontal or vertical? Anyone? Y equals 9, horizontal or vertical?
Horizontal.
Correct. And we want to find an equation perpendicular to -6, 8. -6, 8. Can someone tell me what kind of line is perpendicular to a horizontal? The answer is vertical. And we wanted to go through that point. So we look at the X value. So it's gonna be X equals -6. And we are done. So to end off our lecture, we're gonna write a note. Vertical lines are perpendicular to horizontal lines. And vice versa. And then we're done. That concludes today's lecture, guys. We did it. You survived. What questions, comments, or concerns do we have regarding these sections or questions? All right, I'm gonna go ahead and stop sharing. I'm gonna stop recording.